Okay, well, let's go to the next question.
Beautiful. Thanks, Ted. So the next question is from, there's no name, it just says from the Healing Well. I guess that's the business name. So the question goes as follows. I get stuck in introvert / overthinking when it comes to putting a message out, and then don't. I'm comfortable writing, but will anybody read my writing? Or do I need to make videos, or what? And then to whom? I don't want to just market online to my friends, as I find that sometimes business and friendship roles don't mix well. So how to find online niches?
Okay, well, first of all, I just was grabbing a link here and I'll put in the chat, but we can maybe share this also. There's a great video called Art, I Love You. The first thing is just affirmation, confirmation, commiseration. This is a very human thing, right? If I make my art, will anyone want it? Will anyone like it? That's a good question to ask. And it's a very understandable thing. I think it was it Seth Godin who said, just when we make our art, vulnerable is the only thing we're going to feel. Because it is vulnerable. You're putting out a part of yourself. It's a little scary. It's a little, what if they reject it? And is that rejecting me? So that's just a very human thing. That doesn't mean we have to live there. Doesn't mean that that's the only way to see it. But it's understandable that that's where we go in our minds, is them rejecting the art equals them rejecting me. Which, if you're playing the game of, I'm here to try to get the sale, that is how you're going to feel. And especially if you add on to the game of trying to get the sale, well, you're going to feel like, oh, you lost business and you failed somehow. But then if you're playing the game of collapsing, and please love me, and will you just love me? If I just give enough, won't you love me? And you make it all about you. Well, yes, then when they reject you, that is you. And if you're playing the game of posturing and they say no, that means they don't respect you. That means they don't get it. They're not smart like you. So if the only agenda is to get to the truth of, is this a fit? If that's our agenda, is the truth, we're just living in a whole different domain. And so then the question of, will people want it, takes on different hue. And so much of it comes down to the tone of voice we ask these questions in. If the question is like, would anyone even want this? Take that to your therapist. That's a kind of emotional collapse. But the question could be also like, would anybody want this? With real curiosity, like you actually want to know. Because when you ask it in the first way, you're not asking for an answer. You're asking for pity. You're asking for some sort of like sympathy for people, or encouragement. But how about if what you really wanted was the truth? Would people want this thing that I'm selling? Well, there's ways to get answers to that. And here's what you don't do. I got this little earphone case. Would anyone want this? Boy, I don't know. Let me make 1 million and find out. No, you make one and you show it around to people. It's like, is this kind of thing useful? I don't know, innovated the earphone case. I added some things. I think this is much better. Would anybody want this? And you show it around. And you do it. You start very small. So on my playlist on YouTube, there's a link for there's a playlist around pilot programs or beta tests, that kind of thing. So you want to do a pilot program. You want to test something very small, just to see. And by the way, that pilot program you could start with research calls, where you just ask people like, hey, can we go for lunch? Can I pick your brain about something? I'll trade you half an hour of coaching for half an hour of just research. And you start asking around, is this a thing? Are people struggling with this? Would you want help with this? Would this be the kind of help you might pay for? Ask. And then you find out. So you start with conversations. Then you might do a very small offering. I'm saying like a living room workshop. Yeah, a hour-long Zoom presentation. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And then you verify and you see. And now this question of like, God, where would I find these people? That's also a great question, but not if we ask it like, where would I find people anyways? Find your spine first before you try to find your people. And then you ask the question like, okay, where would I find these people? And it's good to ask, because the answer may be nowhere. That may be the truth. This thing that you made, nobody wants it. They don't exist anywhere. That's very possible. I don't think likely, but sure, it's possible. Or you just can't find them. And what does that mean? Don't do that thing as a business. But this then becomes a question. Is this a hobby or is it a business? And if it's a hobby, just do your thing. Knock yourself out. Life's short. Do what you love. Make the things you want to make. Know that nobody will buy them. And if you give them as gifts, they'll probably be trashed. But it's your life. Do what you want to do. But if it's a business and nobody wants it or you can't find people, well, that's one of the questions. There's three criteria of a good target market. The first one is that it's clear. I should know if I'm in that group or not immediately. Number two, there's enough of them who can afford to pay you full price. So that you got to do some research. You got to ask around. You got to see if that's true. And third, that you can find them. There's hubs. So if there's not enough who can afford to pay full price and you can't find them, stop. Do not throw good money after bad on that. It's over. But is there anything I missed in that question? Because there was a bit there.
The last bit, there were quite a few questions within it. The first one you got, which was about will anybody read it? And then she said, do I need to make videos or what? And then to whom? So I think you've kind of got that. The last bit was about, I don't want to market online to my friends, as I feel that sometimes business and friendship roles don't mix well.
Right.
So how to find online niches?
Yeah, let me rephrase it. The question is more how to find online hubs. And then the question before that is, what is your niche? And, if people are struggling with their niche, go to marketingforhippies.com/puttering-prep as one resource, or go to marketingforhippies.com/steps, and you'll see a page on the 5 fundamentals. And you can, step 2 is niching. There's tons of resources there. So the question is who am I trying to find first? Second, where do I find them? But if we don't answer that first question, there is no answer to the second question. Yeah. All right, next question.